The barn door creaked as Day pushed it open. He carried a bucket of feed in one hand and a lantern in the other. The morning sun had not yet risen over the red hills of planet Redstone. This was his favorite time of day, when everything was quiet and peaceful. But something was different this morning. His horses were nervous. They stamped their feet and made worried sounds from their stalls. Day set down the bucket and raised his lantern higher. The light pushed back the shadows in the corners of the barn. That was when he saw them. 3 creatures huddled together in the far corner, behind some hay bales. They were small, about the size of large dogs. Their scales caught the lantern light and sparkled in shades of green and blue. Wings were folded tight against their bodies. Long tails wrapped around each other for comfort. Dragons. Day had seen pictures of dragons before. Every settler on the frontier planets knew about them. Most people called them pests. They ate livestock and scared the animals. The Galactic Council said they were too wild to live near civilized places. Many planets had laws about removing them. But these dragons were just babies, children. The largest one lifted its head. Its eyes were golden and filled with fear. It opened its mouth and made a sound, trying to form words. The voice was rough, like someone learning to speak for the first time. "Please," the dragon said in broken galactic common. "Please. No hurt." Day stood very still. In all his years on Redstone, he had never heard of a dragon that could talk. He slowly lowered the lantern and sat down on a hay bale, making himself less threatening. "I won't hurt you," he said gently. "What are you doing in my barn?" The largest dragon looked at the 2 smaller ones, then back at Day. It was clearly trying to think of the right words. "We hide," the dragon said. "We have no home now. Parents gone. Dead." The smallest dragon, barely bigger than a cat, made a sad chirping sound. The middle-sized one wrapped its tail more tightly around its smaller sibling. "What happened to your parents?" Day asked. The large dragon's eyes became wet. "Big rocks, from sky, fall fast. Rocks hit cave, parents inside, we outside. We try dig, but..." It shook its head. "They gone." 2 days now. Day felt his heart squeeze. A meteor strike. They happened sometimes on Redstone. The planet was still young, and space debris fell more often than on older, stable worlds. He had lost a cow to a meteor last year. "But to lose your parents that way? I'm sorry," Day said. He meant it. The dragon nodded slowly, understanding the tone if not all the words. "We see your barn. From far. We come at night. Animals make noise. But we hide good. We just need. Stay little time. Then we go." "Where will you go?" Day asked. The dragon did not answer. Its wings drooped. All 3 dragons looked tired and thin. They probably had not eaten since their parents died. Day thought about his choices. He could call the town authorities. They would send someone to remove the dragons. That was the legal thing to do. But these were children who had just lost their family. What would happen to them if he turned them away? He remembered being alone when he first came to Redstone. He had been young, too, barely 20 years old. His own parents had died in an accident on Earth. He came to the frontier to start over, to build something new. Other settlers had helped him. Old Farmer Wu had given him advice. Mrs. Sun had brought him food when he was too poor to buy enough. They had been kind when they did not have to be. Maybe it was time to pass that kindness forward. "What are your names?" Day asked. The large dragon blinked in surprise. "Names?" "Yes." "What do you call each other?" The dragon thought for a moment, then pointed to itself with one claw. "Hi." It pointed to the middle dragon, Jin, then to the smallest. "Nah." Day nodded. "I'm Day. This is my ranch." "Ranch?" he asked. "A farm. I raise animals here. Horses, cows, chickens." Hi's eyes grew worried. "We no eat your animals. Promise. We find food other place." "What do dragons eat?" Day asked. "Meat," But also plants. We eat many things. Not choosy. Day stood up and walked to a storage cupboard. He pulled out some dried meat strips and a sack of vegetables. He came back and set them on the ground near the dragons. But not too close. He did not want to scare them. "Eat," he said. The 3 dragons stared at the food, then at Day, then back at the food. Little Na made a hopeful sound. Jin looked at Hai for permission. Hai watched Day carefully. "You give us food?" "Because you're hungry," Day said simply. "And you're in trouble. I help people in trouble." "We not people," Hai said quietly. "We dragons. Everyone say dragons are bad." Day shrugged. "I don't care what everyone says. You seem fine to me." "That's more polite than some humans I know." Hai made a sound that might have been a laugh. It nodded to Jin and Na. The 3 dragons moved forward carefully and began to eat. They were clearly starving, but tried to eat slowly, with manners. While they ate, Day sat back down and thought. The sun was starting to rise outside. Soon his neighbors would be up and moving around. If someone saw the dragons, there would be trouble. The town council had strict rules about dangerous animals, but were these dragons dangerous? They were scared children eating vegetables and dried meat. They said, "Please," and "Thank you," in their broken speech. They had asked permission to hide in his barn. Dai made a decision. "Listen," he said. "You can stay here for now. But we need to keep you hidden. Many people in town don't like dragons. They might try to make you leave." "Dragons." Hai swallowed a piece of carrot and nodded. "We understand. We stay quiet. We stay hidden." "Good. Can you fit in the loft above the horse stalls? There's old hay up there and some space." "Yes. We small. We fit." "Good. During the day, you stay up there. At night, when it's dark, you can come down and stretch. I'll bring you food." "You really let us stay?" Jin asked. It was the first time the middle dragon had spoken. Its voice was softer than He's. "Yes," Day said. "At least until we figure out what to do next." Na, the smallest, made a happy chirping sound and bounced a little. T bowed its head, low. "Thank you, Day human. We no forget this. We pay back." "You don't need to pay me back," Day said. "Just stay out of trouble." But even as he said it, Day had a feeling that trouble was exactly what was coming. Nothing on the frontier was ever simple. And hiding 3 talking dragons was about as complicated as it could get. 3 weeks passed since the dragons moved into Day's barn. Each day brought new surprises. Day learned that dragons were much smarter than anyone said. They learned human words quickly. Hai could now speak in full sentences, though the grammar was sometimes wrong. Jin was quieter, but understood everything. Little Na was still learning, but copied everything the older dragons did. Day also learned that dragons were helpful, very helpful. One morning, he found his tools organized by size and type. He had left them scattered around the barn the night before. When he asked about it, Hai looked almost embarrassed. "We see you look for hammer yesterday. Take long time to find. We think. Maybe we organize. Make easier. We think. About it is. We think." Day laughed. "That's actually really nice. Thank you. We want to help," Jin said. "You give us home. We should work too." It was then that Day realized the dragons did not just want shelter. They wanted to belong. They wanted to earn their place, to be useful, to matter. "Okay," Day said, "but you have to be careful. If the neighbors see you." "We know," he said. "We work at night. Very quiet." And they did. The dragons only came out after dark. They helped clean the barn, organized supplies, and even learned to gently move the nervous horses back into their stalls when they got loose. The horses were starting to accept the dragons. They no longer made scared noises when Hai, Jin, or Na were near. But keeping the secret was getting harder. One afternoon, Day's neighbor, Wu, came by. Wu was an old farmer who had lived on Redstone for 30 years. He knew everything about ranching and often gave Day advice. "Your barn looks different," Wu said, squinting at the building. "Cleaner." "Just been working hard," Day said, trying to sound casual. Wu walked closer to the barn. Day's heart beat faster. The dragons were up in the loft, hidden under hay and old blankets. They knew to stay absolutely still when visitors came. "Your horses look good too," Wu said. "Healthier than last month. What are you feeding them?" "Same as always," Day said. This was true, but what he did not say was that the dragons had been talking to the horses. Somehow, the animals understood each other. The dragons knew which horse liked which food, which one needed more water, which one had a sore foot. They told Day, and he took better care of the animals. Wu looked at Day with sharp eyes. The old farmer was not stupid, but he just nodded slowly. "Well, keep doing whatever you're doing," he said. "Place looks good." After Wu left, Day went to the loft. The dragons were still hiding, barely breathing. "That was close," he said. "Too close," Hai agreed. "Maybe we causing you trouble. Maybe we should go." "No," Day said firmly. "You're not going anywhere. We just need to be more careful." But the next day brought a bigger problem. Mrs. Sun came to visit. She was a kind woman who ran the general store in town. She liked to check on Day because she said he did not eat enough. She brought a basket of bread and vegetables. "You need real food," she scolded. "Not just dried meat and beans." "Thank you, Mrs. Sun," Day said, taking the basket. "I appreciate it." She looked past him into the barn. "Is that a new water system? I don't remember seeing that pipe before." Day's blood ran cold. The dragons had built a simple pipe system to bring water from the well to the animal troughs. It made Day's work much easier. He had not thought about how it would look to visitors. "I built it last week," he said. Mrs. Sun raised an eyebrow. "You? You're good at many things, Day, but you're terrible at building. This looks professional." "I watched a video tutorial," Day said weakly. Mrs. Sun did not look convinced, but she did not push. She handed him the basket and patted his arm. "Just be careful, whatever you're doing. The town council has been talking about dragons lately. Some scouts saw dragon tracks near the Peterson farm. Everyone's on alert." 1. After she left, Day climbed to the loft. The dragons were waiting, looking worried. "We heard," he said. "We need to be more careful with building things. Maybe we should stop helping so much," Jin suggested. "No," Day said. "But maybe we need to be smarter about it." That evening, Day sat with the dragons, and they made a plan. The dragons could still help, but they had to make it look like Day did everything. They could not build obvious new things. They could only do work that looked normal for a ranch. Na, who was getting braver, spoke up. "We could help with animals at night. No one sees. Animals happier, you look like better rancher." "That's a good idea," Day said. Over the next week, the plan worked well. The dragons focused on animal care. They learned which cows were going to have calves soon. They knew which chickens were sick. They could tell when predators were near and scared them away with quiet growls. Day's ranch started to do better than ever. His animals were healthy, and his crops grew well. The dragons had a talent for knowing what plants needed. They could smell if the soil needed water or nutrients. But the dragons gave Day more than help with work. They gave him friendship. Late at night, after all the work was done, Day would sit in the loft with Hai, Jin, and Na. They would talk about their lives. The dragons told him about their parents, about dragon culture, about how their kind used to live in big families before humans and other species pushed them out. "Dragons not always alone," Hay explained. "Long time ago, we have big caves, many families together. We share food, share stories, share work. Like humans have towns." "What happened?" Day asked. Other species come. They want the planets where we live. They say we dangerous. They say we kill their animals. Sometimes true, sometimes not. But they no ask us to share. They just tell us to leave. That's not fair, Day said. Jin made a sad sound. Fair not matter in galaxy. Strong species take what they want. Weak species hide or die. But you're not weak, Day said. You're smart. You can talk, build things, help. Your people. The three dragons looked at him with surprise. Na's eyes were wide. Na's eyes were wide. No one ever say that before, he said quietly. We people. Of course you are, Day said. You think, you feel, you care about each other. That makes you people in my book. Little Na crawled closer and put its head on Day's lap. The dragon was purring. A sound like a cat, but deeper. Jin moved closer too. Even Hai, who was usually more careful, came and sat near. We like being here, Na said in its small voice. We like you. Day. I like you too, Day said. He meant it. The dragons had become family. He had not realized how lonely he had been until they arrived. But as he sat there with his strange new family, Day felt worry in his chest. He knew this could not last forever. Eventually, someone would find out. The town council would force him to send the dragons away. Or worse, they might call the authorities to remove them by force. He pushed those thoughts away. For now, he would enjoy this moment. 3 dragons trusted him. They felt safe with him. They had asked to stay, and he had said yes. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Outside the barn, the red moon of Redstone rose into the night sky. The wind whispered through the grass. And inside, a human and 3 dragons sat together in comfortable silence, sharing the peace of a home they all wanted to protect. The trouble came on a Tuesday morning. Day was in town buying supplies when he heard the news. A ship had landed near the town square. Not a normal supply ship or a settler transport. This ship was big and black with official markings on the side. The Galactic Extermination Corporation. Day felt ice in his stomach. He left his supplies and walked quickly to the square. A crowd had gathered around the ship. Standing in front of it was a tall alien in a dark uniform. The alien had gray skin and too many arms. Its voice was loud and cold. We have received reports of dragon activity in this settlement zone, the alien said. The Galactic Council has authorized our corporation to remove all dragons from inhabited planets. They are classified as vermin and pose a danger to civilized species. We haven't had any trouble with dragons, someone in the crowd said. That is irrelevant, the alien replied. Dragon tracks have been detected near several properties. We will conduct a full sweep of the area. Any dragons found will be captured and relocated. Day's hands formed fists. Relocated was a lie. Everyone knew what the corporation really did. They killed dragons and sold their scales. Dragon scales were rare and valuable. They were used in expensive jewelry and medicine. A single adult dragon could be worth millions of credits. But these were children. Babies. They were not worth much money yet. The corporation would probably just kill them quickly and dispose of the bodies. Day pushed through the crowd. What gives you the right to come here and hunt on our land? The alien looked at him with cold eyes. Galactic Council law gives us the right. All frontier planets agreed to these regulations when they joined the council. Those laws are about dangerous animals, Day said. Dragons are intelligent. They can talk. They're people. The crowd murmured in surprise. The alien's expression did not change. That is a common misconception, it said. Dragons can mimic speech, like some birds. This does not make them sentient. They are animals. Nothing more. You're wrong, Day said. The alien took a step closer. Its name tag said, Agent Quan. All four of its arms crossed in front of its chest. Are you harboring dragons on your property? Agent Quan asked. No. Day lied. His heart was racing, but he kept his face calm. We will need to inspect all properties in the area. This includes your ranch. You need a warrant for that, Day said. He was not sure if this was true, but it sounded right. Agent Quan made a sound like a laugh. This is a frontier planet. Council emergency powers override local property laws. We can search any location we deem necessary. Old Farmer Wu stepped forward from the crowd. Now hold on. We have rights here. We're citizens of the Galactic Council. We same as anyone else. Your rights do not extend to harboring vermin, Agent Quan said. The sweep will begin tomorrow morning. I suggest everyone cooperate. Resistance will result in fines and possible criminal charges. The alien turned and walked back into its ship. The crowd began to talk in worried voices. Day felt sick. He had less than 24 hours to figure out what to do. He rushed back to his ranch without buying his supplies. The dragons were in the loft. As always. When he climbed up, they looked at his face and knew something was wrong. What happened? Ye asked. Day told them everything. About the corporation. About Agent Quan. About the sweep that would happen tomorrow. As he talked, the three dragons moved closer together. Little Na was shaking. We should run, Jin said. Go to the hills. Hide in caves. They will have scanners, he said. They will find us. Maybe we should just turn ourselves in, Na said quietly. We no want Day to get in trouble for us. No. Day said firmly. You're not turning yourselves in. And you're not running. Then what do we do? He asked. Day thought hard. His mind raced through options. Then an idea came to him. It was risky. It might not work. But it was the only chance they had. We need proof that you're people, Day said. Real proof that no one can deny. How we do that? Jin asked. The law says citizens have rights. If we can prove you're sentient, truly intelligent, then you're citizens. They can't treat citizens like vermin. All. They believe dragons are sentient, he said. They think we just mimicking words. Then we need to show them something dragons could not do if they were just animals. We need to show them you can think, create, and reason. Over the next hours, they worked on a plan. The dragons would demonstrate their intelligence in a way that could not be denied. They would write a formal statement in Galactic Common. They would solve complex math problems. They would show their organizational skills, their building abilities, everything that proved they were people. Day recorded it all on his video device. He captured Hai, explaining dragon culture and philosophy. He filmed Jin, working through engineering problems. He even got Na, telling a story about dragon history, but he knew it might not be enough. The corporation did not care about evidence. They cared about profit. That evening, Day made some calls. He contacted a lawyer on the nearest major planet. The lawyer listened to the situation and sighed. It's a difficult case, the lawyer said. The law is not clear about dragon sentience. It would take months to go through the courts. And you have hours. Is there anything I can do? Day asked. You can refuse the search. Make them get a proper warrant. That might buy you a few days. And if they force their way in anyway, then you document everything, record it all. If they violate proper procedure, we might have grounds for a case later. That meant after the dragons were already gone. Day thanked the lawyer and ended the call. He went back to the barn. The dragons had heard everything through the thin walls. They looked defeated. Is okay, Day, he said. We know you tried. We grateful for the time we had here. It's not over yet, Day said. That night, Day could not sleep. He sat on the porch of his small house, watching the barn. The dragons were quiet inside. They knew tomorrow might be their last day of freedom. Around midnight, Day heard footsteps. He turned and saw Wu walking up the path. The old farmer sat down next to him without asking. "Can't sleep either?" Wu asked. "No," Day said. They sat in silence for a while. Then Wu spoke again. "I know they're in your barn." Day's heart stopped. He opened his mouth to deny it, but Wu held up a hand. "I'm not stupid, boy. I've known for weeks. The way your place improved so fast, the way you acted when I visited, and..." He paused. "I saw one of them last week. Little one. Flew past my fence at dusk. Beautiful thing. Are you going to tell the corporation?" Day asked quietly. "No," Wu said. "I'm going to help you stop them." Day looked at the old man in surprise. Wu's face was serious. "Those dragons are children," Wu said. "I don't care what the law says. I'm not letting anyone hunt children on my watch. They'll fine you. Maybe arrest you. I'm old. What are they going to do? Throw me in space jail?" Wu smiled. "Besides, I didn't come to this frontier to bow down to bureaucrats. We settlers look out for each other. And if you say those dragons are people, then they're part of our community." Day felt hope for the first time that day. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Wu said. "We need to get more people on our side. The corporation might have the law, but we have numbers. And we have stubbornness." The old farmer stood up. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a long day." As Wu walked away, Day looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, powerful people had decided that dragons were not worth protecting. They had made laws to hunt them and profit from their deaths. But here on Redstone, in a small barn on a simple ranch, 3 dragon children slept peacefully because one human had decided to care. And now, maybe more humans would join him. It was not much, but it was a start. The sun rose red over Redstone. Day stood in front of his barn with his arms crossed. Behind him, the barn door was closed and locked. Inside, the dragons waited in silence. 3 vehicles arrived at 8 in the morning. 2 were corporation trucks full of equipment. The third was a hover car carrying Agent Quan and 4 mercenaries in black armor. They all carried weapons. Agent Quan stepped out and looked at Day with cold eyes. "Mr. Day, we are here to inspect your property for dragon presence. I don't consent to a search," Day said. His voice was steady, even though his heart was pounding. "Your consent is not required. We have authority under Galactic Council emergency provisions." "Show me the warrant," Day said. Agent Quan's expression did not change. "We do not need a warrant for vermin removal. If you don't have a warrant, you're not searching my property." One of the mercenaries put a hand on his weapon. Agent Quan raised one of its 4 arms to stop him. "Mr. Day, you are making a mistake. Interfering with official corporation business is a crime. So is trespassing on private property," a voice said. Everyone turned. Old Farmer Wu was walking up the road. He was carrying a fence post, like a club. Behind him came Mrs. Sun, holding a large umbrella like a weapon. And behind them came more people. Lots of people. Other ranchers from the area. Store owners from town. Even some of the younger settlers who usually stayed out of trouble. They all walked up and stood beside Day, forming a line between the corporation and the barn. Agent Quan looked at the growing crowd with irritation. "This is not your concern. Leave now or face legal consequences." "This is our concern," Wu said. "This is our neighbor. This is our planet. And you're not welcome here." "Yeah," Mrs. Sun added. "Go back to wherever you came from." The crowd murmured in agreement. There were at least 30 people now, and more were arriving. Agent Quan's gray skin seemed to turn darker. It was getting angry. "You are all interfering with a legal operation. I will have every single one of you arrested." "Go ahead," a young rancher named Bo said. "Arrest all of us. See how that looks in the galactic news." Agent Quan paused. Day realized Bo was right. The corporation could legally search his barn. They could legally remove the dragons. But arresting dozens of citizens for protecting their neighbor? That would be a public relations disaster. I will give you one more chance, Agent Kwan said. Step aside and let us do our job, or face the consequences. No one moved. The agent made a gesture to its mercenaries. Scan the barn from here. If there are dragons inside, we will obtain a proper warrant and return with additional forces. One of the mercenaries pulled out a scanner and pointed it at the barn. Day held his breath. The scanner would detect the dragons for sure. Their body heat, their movement, everything would show up. The mercenary looked at the scanner, then looked again. He shook it and tried again. Sir, the scanner is getting interference. I can't get a clear reading. What kind of interference? Agent Kwan demanded. Unknown. Could be local minerals in the soil. The whole area is lighting up. Number. Agent Kwan grabbed the scanner and looked at it himself. Its face showed frustration. Day felt confused. Why was the scanner not working? Then he noticed Mrs. Sun's umbrella. It had a small device attached to the handle. She caught his eye and winked. The old woman had brought a scanner jammer. Day almost laughed. This is unacceptable, Agent Kwan said. We will return with better equipment. You do that, Wu said, and we'll be waiting. The corporation vehicles started to leave. But they only made it halfway down the road before they stopped. A new vehicle was blocking the way. It was a news van, with a large camera on top. A reporter jumped out, a young woman with bright eyes. Agent Kwan, I'm Yuna, from Frontier News Network. We heard about a standoff happening here. Can you comment on why the corporation is targeting this settlement? Agent Kwan looked furious. This is not a story. This is routine pest control. But our sources say you're hunting intelligent beings. Is it true that dragons can speak? That is misinformation. Dragons are not sentient. Can we see proof of that? Can we see the dragons you're hunting? The reporter was pushing a camera in Agent Kwan's face. The agent tried to push past her. But more reporters were arriving. Somehow, word had spread fast. The standoff was becoming news. Agent Kwan got back in the hovercar. This is not over, it said to Day. Then the vehicles drove away, pushing past the news vans. The crowd cheered. People clapped Day on the back and congratulated him. But Day knew this was not a victory. It was just a delay. That night, the dragons came out of the barn. They looked at all the people who had defended them with wonder. Why they help us? Na asked. They not even know us. Because they're good people, Day said. They don't like bullies. Wu came over to properly meet the dragons. He looked at Hai and held out his hand. I'm Wu. Nice to finally meet you properly. Hai carefully shook his hand with one claw. Thank you for helping us. You're welcome, kid. You speak well, by the way. Better grammar than some humans I know. Mrs. Sun brought food for everyone. She met the dragons and immediately started fussing over how thin they were. You need more vegetables, she said to Jin. And you, she pointed at Na. You need meat. Growing children need protein. The dragons looked overwhelmed by the kindness. They had spent their whole lives being hunted and feared. Now, humans were protecting them, and feeding them, and treating them like family. But the happiness did not last long. Around midnight, the scanners started beeping. Day had set up a perimeter warning system. Something large was approaching the ranch. Everyone looked up. In the sky, lights were appearing. Ships, lots of ships. The corporation was back, and this time they had brought an army. At least a dozen ships landed around the ranch, surrounding it completely. Mercenaries poured out. Hundreds of them. They set up barriers and weapons. This was not a simple search anymore. This was a military operation. Agent Kwan's voice came over a loudspeaker. You have 1 hour to surrender the dragons. If you do not comply, we will take them by force. Anyone who resists will be arrested and charged with harboring dangerous animals. The settlers looked at each other with fear. There were only 30 of them against hundreds of trained mercenaries. They could not fight this. Maybe we should give up, someone said quietly. No, he said. The dragon stepped forward, looking at all the humans. You have done enough for us. You should not fight a battle you cannot win. We will go with them. Absolutely not, Day said. We don't want anyone to get hurt because of us, Jin added. Little Na was crying. We love you all. We know forget this. But we know want you to die for us. Wu looked at the dragons, then at the mercenaries, then at Day. Well, there has to be something we can do, Bo said. Mrs. Sun was thinking hard. The reporters are still here. They're recording everything. If the corporation attacks citizens on camera, they don't care, Day said. They'll say we were breaking the law. They'll make us look like the criminals. Then, from the sky, a new sound came. More ships. But these were different. Smaller, faster, and coming from all directions. The ships landed between the mercenaries and the ranch. Doors opened, and people came out. Not corporation people. Regular citizens. Humans. Aliens of different species. All kinds of people. A tall woman walked up to Day. She was human, with kind eyes. Yes, who are you? My name is Sunmi. I saw the news report about the dragon children. About how you were protecting them. I came to help. Thank you, but there are too many mercenaries. We can't fight them. Sunmi smiled. We're not here to fight. We're here to witness. Look, she pointed at the new arrivals. They all had cameras. Hundreds of cameras. All pointed at the mercenaries. All recording. I posted your story on the Galactic Network, Sunmi said. The video of the dragons speaking. The way you and your neighbors stood up to protect them. It went viral. Millions of people saw it. And thousands decided to come here to see the truth for themselves. Agent Kwan's voice came over the speaker again, but this time it sounded uncertain. These people must leave immediately. This is an official operation. No, Sunmi shouted back. This is a public space. We have every right to be here, and we're going to record everything you do. The whole galaxy is watching now. More ships kept arriving. The area around Day's ranch was becoming crowded with people. All holding cameras. All watching. The mercenaries looked confused. They had weapons, but they could not just start shooting civilians who were not doing anything illegal. Not with thousands of cameras recording. Agent Kwan's ship suddenly lifted off and flew away quickly. The mercenaries started retreating too, getting back into their ships. Within minutes, the corporation forces were gone. The crowd erupted in cheers. People were hugging each other and celebrating. The dragons stood in the middle of it all, looking amazed. We won? Na asked. We won, Day said, hardly believing it himself. But even as he celebrated, Day knew this was not over. The corporation would not give up this easily. They would try again, using different methods, legal challenges, political pressure, who knew what else. But for tonight, they had won. The dragons were safe, and the galaxy was finally paying attention. The story of the dragon children spread across the galaxy like fire. Every news network showed the footage. 3 young dragons speaking in clear galactic common. A human rancher refusing to give them up. An entire settlement standing together against a massive corporation. And thousands of citizens arriving to protect children they had never met. The video of Hai explaining dragon philosophy went viral. People watched Jin solve complex engineering problems in real time. They saw little Na telling stories about dragon history and culture. The evidence was impossible to deny. Dragons were people. The Galactic Council was forced to respond. Emergency sessions were called. Representatives from hundreds of species argued for days. Some species wanted to maintain the old laws. They claimed dragons were dangerous and primitive. But others pointed at the videos from Redstone. How could anyone call these children primitive? The corporation tried to fight back. They released statements, saying the dragons were trained, that they were just mimicking intelligence. But no one believed them anymore. The truth was out. 3 months after the standoff, the Galactic Council made a historic decision. Dragons were officially recognized as sentient beings with full citizenship rights. Hunting them was now murder. Selling their body parts was now illegal trafficking. Every dragon in the galaxy was protected by law. The corporation tried to sue Day for damages and lost business. The judge threw out the case and fined the corporation for attempted genocide. It was the first time in galactic history that a corporation faced such charges. But the biggest changes happened on Redstone itself. Day's ranch became famous. People from across the galaxy came to visit, to meet the dragons who had changed everything. He, Jin, and Na were nervous at first, but they learned to handle the attention. More dragons started appearing. They had been hiding for generations, scared and alone. When they heard about Redstone, they came. They wanted to live somewhere safe. They wanted to be recognized as people. Within 6 months, there were 50 dragons living in the settlement. They built their own neighborhood on the edge of town, with caves and structures that matched their culture, but they also integrated with the human and alien settlers. Dragons worked in shops, helped on farms, and even joined the town council. Hai became a spokesperson for dragon rights. The young dragon traveled to different planets, giving speeches about dragon culture and history. Hai was smart and well-spoken. People listened. Jin discovered a talent for engineering. The dragon helped design better water systems and power generators for the settlement. Jin's work made life easier for everyone, not just dragons. Little Na grew bigger and started teaching dragon language to interested humans. The young dragon also helped run a school for dragon children who came to Redstone. Na was patient and kind, perfect for teaching. But the best change was in Day's barn. He expanded it to make room for his adopted family. The legal papers had taken weeks to process. No one had ever adopted a dragon before. The lawyers had to create entirely new forms. But finally, it was official. Hai, Jin, and Na were legally Day's children. The day the papers came through, Day called the 3 dragons to the kitchen of his house. He had made them a special dinner with their favorite foods. They all sat together at the table he had built to accommodate dragons. "I have something to show you," Day said. Na started crying happy tears. Jin made a happy chirping sound. Hey just stared at the papers. "We really your family?" Hey asked quietly. "You've been my family since the day you asked to stay in my barn," Day said. "This just makes it official." The 3 dragons hugged him. It was awkward because dragons were bigger than humans and had wings and tails, but it was perfect. That night, they sat on the porch together watching the sunset. The red sky of Redstone was beautiful. Day's ranch stretched out before them, peaceful and quiet. "What you think happens now?" Na asked. "Whatever we want," Day said. "You're citizens now. You have rights. You can choose your own future," Day said. 17. Day said. Day said. "You can choose your own future. We want to stay here," Jin said. "This is home. With you," he added. "Our family." Day smiled. He had come to Redstone years ago, alone and searching for a new beginning. He had built a ranch by himself, working hard every day. It had been a good life, but lonely. Now his barn was full of family. His dinner table had 4 chairs instead of 1. His evenings were filled with conversation and laughter. The ranch that had been just his was now theirs. "I want to stay too," Day said. "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." The story could have ended there. A happy ending for 1 human and 3 dragons. But the changes kept spreading. Other planets started recognizing dragon rights. Settlements invited dragons to live with them. Dragon culture began to integrate with other species' cultures. Books were written, Schools taught dragon history, and laws were changed. The corporation that had hunted dragons was shut down. Its executives faced trial for their crimes. Some went to jail. Others had to pay massive fines to dragon victims. New businesses started that were run by dragons and other species together. Dragon engineering techniques were combined with human technology to create new inventions. Dragon philosophy influenced political thinking. The galaxy became richer for including them. But the most important change was simple. Dragons were no longer seen as monsters or vermin. They were people. They had names, families, dreams, and rights. And it all started because one human on a frontier planet saw 3 scared children in his barn and chose kindness over fear. Years later, a young journalist came to interview Day for a documentary. She wanted to know why he had taken such a risk. "Weren't you afraid?" she asked. "The corporation could have killed you. You could have lost everything." Day thought about the question while Hai, Jin, and Na worked in the garden outside. They were adults now, strong and confident. But he still remembered them as they had been that first morning, small and scared and desperate. "I was afraid," Day admitted. But fear is not a good reason to turn away someone who needs help. They were children. They had lost their parents. They asked for shelter. What kind of person would I be if I said no? But they were dragons. Everyone said dragons were dangerous. Everyone was wrong, Day said simply. And sometimes, one person has to stand up and prove everyone wrong. Otherwise, nothing ever changes. The journalist looked at the 3 dragons working together in the garden. "Do you ever regret it? Taking them in?" Day laughed. "Regret it? They're the best thing that ever happened to me. They're my children. My family. How could I regret that?" Outside, Na noticed Day watching and waved. The dragon was carrying a basket of vegetables, probably to make dinner later. Jin was fixing a fence post, using clever dragon engineering to make it stronger. Hai was reading a book under a tree, always learning something new. They were happy. They were safe. They were home. And across the galaxy, in caves and forests and cities, other dragons were finding homes too. They were building lives, forming families, and contributing to the great mix of species that made up galactic civilization. All because one human said yes when everyone else said no. All because kindness proved stronger than fear. All because a cowboy found 3 orphaned dragons in his barn and decided they deserved a chance. The sun set over Redstone, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Day walked outside to join his family in the garden. They had work to do before dinner, and then they would all sit together and share stories like they did every evening. It was a simple life on a frontier planet. But it was a good life. A life filled with love and family and hope. And really, what more could anyone ask for? The galaxy had learned an important lesson from a small ranch on Redstone. It learned that intelligence came in many forms, that families were built on love, not just biology, that rights were for all thinking beings, not just the powerful or familiar. But most importantly, it learned that change often started in the smallest, most unexpected places. Sometimes it took just one person willing to stand up and say, "This is wrong, and I'm going to do something about it." Day had been that person. And the 3 dragons he saved had helped teach the galaxy what it meant to be human. Not human as in the species, but human as in having humanity. The quality of being kind, compassionate, and willing to help those in need. In that sense, everyone could be human. Dragons, aliens, settlers, all of them. It was not about what you looked like or where you came from. It was about what you chose to do when someone needed help. And on that red frontier planet, under that beautiful sunset, one family showed the galaxy what the right choice looked like. They showed the galaxy what home meant. They showed the galaxy what love could do. And the galaxy would never be the same.